Welcome to the second edition of your virtual Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I am your host, Josh Abrams, joined as usual by my regular panelist, Gia Lancy, and our director, Tyler Pittis. The NFL draft has concluded. The Eagles have made all of their picks. It was an interesting draft, to say the least. I guess a good way to start off is by getting your guys' general reactions.
I want to get your general reaction first because you have a lot of reactions about it.
Do you want to start off with me? Okay, well,
yes.
For starters, I don't think anybody was expecting the Reagor pick with 21. There was a lot of speculation with what Howie was going to do, whether if he was going to move up and try and get CeeDee Lamb. We all know what happened with him. He ended up going to Dallas. He could have also traded back and tried to get Reagor at a more valuable spot than 21. He left Justin Jefferson on the board, who ended up going right after us to Minnesota to replace Stephon Diggs. I mean, there are a lot of ways to look at it, but if you're talking solely about the first round pick, I think there are a lot of head scratches and a lot of head turning at that pick.
Yeah, I was definitely confused. I mean, I definitely wanted CeeDee Lamb, no ifs, ands, or buts. And then, of course, the Cowboys get him, and, everyone's like, no, the Cowboys are going to get him. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen. And then, of course, they do. But I don't know if they should have picked Justin Jefferson. I mean, there's a stat that he had more touchdowns in one game than Reagor did in 2019, which is a horrific stat to me, and that's something I'm excited about. And it's totally different because of who their quarterbacks were and who the offense was, but still, that's a pretty scary stat to me. So
yeah, I mean, I thought it was generally a pretty solid draft. I probably would have preferred Jefferson to Reagor, but then seeing the way that they drafted the rest of the weekend, they clearly are trying to build a receiving core built solely on speed. Not solely on speed, but you know what I mean. That is clearly the focus, going the Kansas City route, building that receiving core on speed. So I think Reagor will fit in well with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Reagor pick is as eye-popping or questionable as the second round pick that they made. Let's move on to that next. I mean, we can go round by round as much as if we want to, but I mean, the Jalen Hurts pick, to me,
hurt.
It made what's that?
It hurt.
It hurt. Yeah, it hurt. I mean, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me that there were still positions in the second round that we needed to address, like cornerback, safety, tackle, edge rusher, linebacker, which we ended up doing the next round. But it's understandable that you don't want Nate Sudfeld to come into the game and back up Wentz. We've pretty much learned through 3 years that he's not a capable backup. And he also was hurt last year, so that kind of didn't help him either. But if you want to get a solid backup for Carson, I think they should have waited until the third or fourth round for Jake Fromm from Georgia, or Tony Eason's kid from Washington. I mean, there were still some solid options at backup quarterback. And Jalen Hurts isn't a backup quarterback. He's not going to be a backup quarterback when his career is, when he's 5 years into his career. So, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, besides getting a solid backup for Carson for the fans to rely on. I thought the pick was a little premature.
Yeah, I have not heard.
It 100% was. And this is where you and I disagree. What'd you say? You haven't not heard what?
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that I agree that it shouldn't have been the second pick, but I am happy that it was Jalen Hurts. I think he was a great college quarterback, so it's not something to be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with him? Because I think that they're going to be able to make some wildcat plays with him, and I think Doug's going to be able to create some really creative plays that is able to incorporate him. I hope that Wentz doesn't feel pressure with him, and I don't think he should, but I know there's some people that don't really know that he's not taking Carson Wentz's spot. That's not what this is. It's about him being the backup quarterback and being him being used for creative plays and him being able to learn from a great quarterbacks coach. That's what I'm trying to take out of it, like the positive of that, and that he's going to learn from not only a great quarterback coach, but a great quarterback. So,
Look, I think I have no doubt that Jalen Hurts has the potential to be a good starting quarterback in this league. I just don't understand why we took him. The idea of us being a quarterback factory, I don't understand how that benefits us, especially in the short term and in the long term, to be honest. As far as using him in wildcat formations and things like that, we signed an undrafted player in Khalil Tate, who was once, the next big thing in college football, who can provide just that. And that shows you kind of, you don't need to draft a wildcat quarterback in the second round to get those kind of plays done.
Yeah, I kind of thought, I understand where G is coming from. The reaction that Howie had to the pick was very concerning, because if you were to make a list of the quarterbacks that have come through the organization that aren't starters, let's focus on that aspect of it. I mean, you've had guys like Mark Sanchez or Thaddeus Lewis, Chase Daniel, Jeff Blake, dating all the way back to the Donovan days. Like, it's historically proven that you are anything but a QB factory, and it makes you sound like you're a football powerhouse on the college level. Like that's something that we see at Ohio State or Alabama when Tua and Jalen were on the same team. Like, we're not a QB factory by any means, and I don't really know where Howie was coming from with that reaction.
I would like to know, how far down do you think Hurts would have went if we didn't pick him? Like, do you think he would have been available on our next pick?
Well, was it surprising to you guys at all that he was still available at 53?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think that many teams need a QB.
Yeah,
and
I
I
guess
think
not.
they're smart enough to wait long enough because they didn't have to pick him as their first or second pick.
It's like the further he would have fallen, the more of a steal he would have been. Probably. I mean, that's just looking at the situation for other teams. It's like, this is a historic draft for many reasons, but one of them is because of how lowly touted quarterbacks are in terms of having to fill a need for a starting spot.
Yeah, I mean, drafting a backup quarterback in the third and fourth round is not really that, I don't think that is that crazy, especially when you have a quarterback with the injury history of Wentz. But I think, like the Bills got a huge steal with Fromm as their back quarterback. Allen is a guy that is going to be punished throughout his career because he puts his body at risk so often. That was a steal for them. I just don't see how we can justify Hurts in the second round, when and you guys say that Sudfeld is not, a very reliable backup. As far as backups go, I wouldn't say he's in the bottom half of the league. He's a solid backup. So I just don't see why a second round pick was justified on Hurts.
But for on the Nate Sudfeld subject, is he like as reliable when Wentz is so injury prone as he is? I don't know. You know what I mean? And like, that's why I do feel a little bit more comfortable with Jalen Hurts, because like, is it going to be the annual injury every single year? I don't know. So like, at least it's like a nice security blanket. And because I don't feel that Nate Sudfeld is a nice security blanket for me.
I think what plays a big role in it is the injury factor, because we didn't get to see Sudfeld even suit up at all last year because I think he injured his wrist or something in the preseason. So, is this Howie and company being more cautious and just trying to plan ahead for the worst case scenario? Like, I mean, I wasn't sure exactly. Like, there's obviously pros and cons to it, but given the timing of the pick, I think it's more concerning for me.
And it's interesting what this 17-game season had anything to play with that. Obviously, every player is going to be playing more games now. So maybe they are genuinely concerned that Wentz will not be able to start all 17 games year in, year out, which they have a right to be. But if that hadn't happened, I wonder how much that would have impacted their decision there.
So it's obvious that the Eagles, as you said, Tyler, loaded up on receivers, on speedy receivers. We have, I think, seven wide receivers on the 53-man roster right now. How many of those receivers that we drafted do you guys realistically think will make the cut?
That we drafted. Well, I think Hightower and Reagor are locks. Immediately forgot his name. But other than that, I think it's going to be a battle. You know, we just obviously got Goodwin, which I am extremely excited about. That was a steal for the draft, in my opinion. Yeah, we'll see. Quez Watkins is another guy who is incredibly fast. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, especially over the next few months, what we do with Jeffrey, because he is obviously the odd man out in terms of style of play now. But obviously that can be a good thing too. You know, we don't have a big man now in the red zone other than him. Not that we really did before either, but you know what? So it's going to be interesting, him and Arcega-Whiteside as well. You know, does he still fit into this new style of play that we might see?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like super excited about the Jalen Reagor thing because like of all the comparisons to Aguilar, like they literally did an NFL player calculator to what NFL player he was most similar to, like statistics wise, and it was Aguilar. So like I understand the speed factor, fantastic, love that. Can you catch though? Like 47% catch rate. It's a little low for me.
Well, I mean, you alluded to it earlier that it was the offenses that they played in and the quarterbacks that they had throwing to them has a lot to do with their season performance. Because there's a reason why Justin Jefferson caught four touchdowns in the game. So it's
yeah, he was Joe Burrow's favorite target.
Yeah.
But like that's still a little low for me. So I mean, you know, I'm all about like let the kids play. I'm excited to see them, but that's just like what's in the back of my mind. So it's kind of bothering me, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's going to depend on what they do with Alshon. I mean,
yeah,
everything's so up in the air with him right now. It feels like there is no trust within him and the organization, or there's intensity, bad beef boiling. If he's the odd man out and he's not on the team next year, I don't think we're going to be complaining a whole lot. It's just going to be a matter of all of these guys would have to learn from Deshaun Jackson. And you know, if you had come into the season relying on the healthiness of Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, you were fooling yourself. So that there's a reason why Howie loaded up on all of these receivers. It's just now it's all about load management, not that kind of load management playing, but like you have a wide variety of receivers on the roster now. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, I definitely think Doug's play style, he's going to be able to, I think he's probably really going to work out. But we're going to just have to wait and see.
Right. What did you guys think of the other picks beyond wide receivers? I was a fan of the Davion Taylor pick in the third round, and I thought for what was available in the fourth round, the Kayvon Wallace pick was very, it's like when you're looking at the third and fourth round, it's hard to deeply analyze or get very excited for it. But I think with what we had available, I thought Howie bounced back pretty well.
The Davion Taylor pick is very exciting to me. The highlight clips of that guy are insane. He is a freak athlete. And clearly we like to have linebackers and safeties who can play in a variety of spots on defense. That was Malcolm Jenkins' strength for all those years. And, you know, getting a guy that can do that, not just a straight up linebacker, but took a lot of snaps at safety and even some at corner is huge for the kind of defense we play.
And I think that because he did that as well, I think that he's going to be able to translate into the NFL really well. And translate to the Eagles really well too. I think he's going to be big time. I'm excited for him too.
This is a third round pick that I envision being inserted into the starting lineup very, very quickly. Like
Yeah.
right now, you look at the depth chart. You have Nathan Gary, Jatavis Brown, and Alex Singleton as your linebackers. I think that in itself tells you that Davion Taylor is going to be a big playmaker on the team. Now it's like, these are NFL linebackers. They're not. I don't think they have as much upside as Davion Taylor, but I think just our situation with that, he'll be inserted immediately, I think.
I totally agree.
Absolutely, especially because the Eagles only usually play 2 linebackers at a time. So having a guy that can fit in other places and find uses everywhere else is going to help him tremendously.
Now, the Eagles didn't really address the edge rusher position, or really the D-line in general, because they're beefed up in the middle with Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and Malik Jackson, but you still have a 32-year-old Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett, who some people would argue has underperformed, and he has, but he hasn't been intolerable per se. So, how are you guys feeling from that side of the defense?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that we could be seeing, the back 7 or whatever, being the strength of our defense for once. We haven't had a secondary that I feel this confident about in years. So it's going to be interesting to see if we do shift a little bit towards, more of a cover style where, I mean, obviously, the defensive coordinator, who's Schwartz, only usually sends 4 players. But now, I think we might be blitzing even less considering how solid our secondary and linebacking core could be coming into the season.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be like too excited about the secondary because our secondary always has something wrong. And I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of Jim Schwartz. I don't know how you guys feel. And I think that, I don't know. I just hope that the chemistry comes right away with all these guys, since it's some new guys, some old guys. I don't know. I'm glad that like it's not just Darius Slay, because that's really all we had before the draft. And I was like, how's he gonna do CD Lamb, Zeke, Amari Cooper, like Gallup, all these guys like by himself? But I'm not as worried about that anymore after the draft. But again, I just hope that the chemistry with all these guys works out like right away.
Yeah, I don't think the secondary is 100% improved or flipped around into a shutdown unit, but it's certainly a lot more experience with adding Roby Coleman from Rams. And then you still have your homegrown guys like Sidney Jones and Crayvon LeBlanc, who I think should be inserted into the second or the right corner spot opposite of Darius Slay, but that's just me. You still have some talent there, and Avonte Maddox as well. But again, what Jim Schwartz is going to have to deal with is what Doug and the offense is going to have to deal with their wide receivers. You have a wide array of pretty talented corners and receivers. It's just a matter of managing it, and it's all about making those decisions come week 1. And hopefully, if we have a preseason and we have all of the proper like previous events leading up to it, that'll make things a lot easier with them making those choices.
Yeah, I mean, for once, the receiving core and secondary are not our immediate, worries. We might not have to turn to Jordan Matthews in week 3.
Yeah, for the third time in his career. Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the depth chart, the team is fully healthy on paper. It's it's a talented roster, but like you said, Gia, it's a matter of the chemistry with all 22 of the starters and obviously the bench guys working out and meshing together. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out given the situation that we're all dealing with. So,
I mean, I would say the one situation that I'm most concerned about still is that left tackle spot. I don't think Driscoll is ready to start. I don't think that they have confidence in Dillard to start. So I'm really curious to see what they do there. And if they do just throw Dillard in there, it's going to help that we drafted a second-round quarterback this year.
Does Jordan Mailata know how to play football yet?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think with him on the IR last year, he can be on the practice squad and still be a developmental project. But I would not say that he's probably ready to start.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean,
but you also don't know Howie because he can just does whatever he wants. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild card with him. He's only 23, so he's still got a lot of time to learn, but not maybe not as much time as you think, because he's we're still going to build up we drafted Prince Tega Wanago, and we got Jack Driscoll. So we addressed some needs on the O-line, but I almost wonder how much more time does Mailata have to take over that starting spot.
Yeah, I mean, again, this year he has that practice squad spot, but after that, they're not. If he's still not ready, they're not going to waste a roster spot on him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's he has the potential, and I mean, he totally had to change his mind to football. So I mean, it is definitely going to take a little bit of a while to be in that developmental stage, but I have confidence he'll get there. I mean, he really wants to, so we'll see.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this second edition of Virtual Sports Talk. We hope you all enjoyed, and we'll tune in next time.